August 23rd, 1939, a pact of non-aggression signed by two ideological enemies, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. A temporary truce designed to carve up Eastern Europe, but with an expiry date known only to one man, Adolf Hitler. On June 22nd, 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in history, shattering the pact and forever changing the course of World War II. But what if that day never came? What if, for strategic reasons, for political gain, Hitler had not launched that devastating attack? What if he had upheld the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, even for just a few more years, or perhaps never violated it at all? Tonight, we delve into a chilling alternate history, a single unmade decision that would rewrite the destiny of nations, redefine alliances, and forge a world far different and potentially far darker than the one we know. Let's imagine Hitler, against his deepest ideological convictions, makes a cold, calculated, strategic choice: delay Barbarossa. Instead of two titanic struggles, Germany focuses its entire might westward. What does this mean for Britain, standing alone against the Nazi war machine? Operation Sealion, the planned invasion of Britain, was deemed too risky in our timeline, partly due to the impending invasion of the USSR. But without that eastern distraction, the Luftwaffe could crush the Royal Air Force. Germany's vastly superior land forces, supported by an unbroken supply chain and air superiority, would face a heavily outmatched British defense. The Channel, once a formidable barrier, becomes a pathway for invasion. Even without a direct invasion, a sustained, intensified U-boat campaign in the Atlantic, diverting resources from the east, would have starved Britain. Without American lend-lease aid, or with its delivery severely hampered, Britain's industrial capacity and morale would have crumbled. A besieged Britain would face an impossible choice: surrender or face total destruction. It's highly probable Britain, isolated and exhausted, would fall or be forced to negotiate a devastating peace treaty, leaving Germany as the undisputed master of Western Europe. Britain's fall would have reshaped America's entry into the war. With Europe largely pacified under German rule and without a viable ally across the Atlantic, American public opinion, already wary of foreign entanglements, might have pushed for continued isolationism. The direct threat to American security would seem more distant. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Japan's ambitions would face fewer obstacles. The attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 was partly a preemptive strike, anticipating American intervention as Japan expanded into resource-rich Southeast Asia. Had Germany already dominated Europe, the strategic landscape for Japan would be entirely different, with the US potentially hesitant or focused purely on defensive postures in the Pacific. Japan might have expanded even further, cementing control over critical oil and rubber supplies without triggering a direct American entry into the war. The timeline for American involvement in a truly global conflict would be drastically delayed or perhaps entirely altered. A world where the US remains a sleeping giant, observing a fragmented, Axis-dominated world, is a chilling prospect. Perhaps the most terrifying consequence of a delayed Barbarossa lies in the race for the atomic bomb. In our timeline, Germany's nuclear program suffered from a lack of resources, brain drain. Many top scientists were Jewish and fled, and the immense pressure of a two-front war. But in this alternate reality, with Europe secured and a vast empire to exploit, Germany would have had unparalleled resources: uranium from occupied Czechoslovakia, heavy water from Norway, and the dedicated scientific manpower that remained. More importantly, it would have bought them time, precious years without the existential threat of Soviet invasion or the constant bombing of their facilities. The Manhattan Project in the US was spurred by fears that Germany was developing the bomb. If Germany had advanced its program unhindered, without the need to divert resources to the Eastern Front, they could well have won the nuclear race. Imagine a Nazi regime holding the ultimate weapon. The implications are too terrifying to fully comprehend. The mere threat of such a weapon could have secured absolute global dominance, turning a victorious Germany into an unchallengeable superpower. And what of Stalin and the Soviet Union? If the pact held, the USSR would have continued its own expansion, perhaps solidifying its control over Eastern Europe without German interference, or even pushing into territories like Finland with less international condemnation. Stalin, wary but empowered by his non-aggression pact, would have used the time to further industrialize and militarize. The world would likely devolve into a new, terrifying form of Cold War, no longer between the US and USSR, but potentially between an atomic Nazi Germany dominating Europe and a vast, powerful Soviet Union controlling Eurasia, or even more chillingly, a fragile, opportunistic alliance between these two totalitarian blocs confronting a hesitant nuclear-armed United States. The ideological clash, temporarily sidelined, would simply transform. A Cold War, born of mutual suspicion and immense military power, where the threat of nuclear annihilation looms even larger and proxy wars erupt in every corner of the globe. The geopolitical map of the 20th century would be unrecognizable. The invasion of the Soviet Union was a pivotal, catastrophic gamble that ultimately sealed Hitler's fate. But by choosing that path, he inadvertently saved the world from an even more terrifying alternative. A world where Britain fell, America hesitated, and Germany became the atomic superpower. This thought experiment underscores the immense fragility of history. A single decision, driven by hubris and ideology, can divert the river of time into radically different and often darker channels. Our world, with all its flaws, might have been unimaginably worse. What other crucial historical decisions do you think could have reshaped our world so dramatically? Share your own what-if scenarios in the comments below. If this journey into alternate history resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the roads not taken. Thank you for questioning everything with us. We'll see you next time.